Welcome to another edition of Cleaning Business TV. I'm David Luke, Vice President of Two Maids and a Mop.
And I'm Ron Holt, CEO and founder of Two Maids and a Mop. So, one of the things I've wanted to talk about for a very long time is what it takes to just get through a typical day if you own a cleaning business. All sorts of different things probably pop into your mind. We're actually going to tell you or take you through what a typical day looks like if you were to own your own cleaning business.
Right. So there's one common ingredient among all entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs start a business because they have a burning passion inside and they wholeheartedly believe in themselves. Unfortunately, the desire to own your own business sometimes gets eroded once an entrepreneur realizes that running the business requires the use of multiple mental and physical facilities. This dose of reality is usually the demise of any business. Ron?
Well, I can relate to that because I don't know if you know this, because I've only said it multiple times since we've started Cleaning Business TV.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
Once or twice.
But we started this business down in Pensacola, Florida in 2003, April Fool's Day. And at the time, I was the ultimate small business owner. In fact, it's very hard to call that a business. We were more like a hobby. But I did it all. I did everything from hiring to firing to buying supplies to organizing the office to paying the bills,
Scheduling
clients, actually trying to figure out ways to market the business, and then yes, even clean a house or two. So David's going to talk a little bit more about some of the actual science of the day, and I'm going to talk to you about a lot of the reality of what I lived as we kind of go through this typical day.
Okay. Being prepared and organized is the key to a successful business. Your personal life will be affected by a chaotic work environment, and your customer will feel the effects of a chaotic work environment. And most importantly, your team members will certainly feel the effects of chaos inside your office. So, leading by an example can never be more applicable to a business owner when it comes to office organization. Simply put, an organized office usually results in a profitable office. So follow these systems and instructions as closely as possible because they're going to allow your business to operate at optimal levels in terms of efficiency and, of course, what you're wanting, profit.
So what we do at Two Maids and a Mop, and remember, we do sell franchise systems here throughout the country on a daily basis.
That's right. We'll make it easy for you as possible.
So if you want this to be, like David said, really easy and completely turnkey, we'll do that for you.
That's right.
If you want to kind of be more of an entrepreneur and do this yourself, follow some of the things we're going to talk about here because we actually break our day up. We have an 8-hour day typically. Now in the early days, it was more like a 16-hour day. And that's also another thing we can talk about maybe down the road, the actual idea that more work means better work. I was working way too hard back in the early days, and I felt like, man, this is really all for the good thing, for the good of the business. But what I was actually doing was creating some real problems because I wasn't running the business. I was just running, some cases literally, but not running the business. So what we did years ago was we broke our day for each of our managers and franchise owners up into 4 segments that we're going to talk to you about here in just a second.
Okay. Yeah, the bulk of a typical workday consists of daily operating procedures. However, you'll also be expected to administer certain weekly or bi-weekly operating procedures.
And again, this is the Two Maids and a Mop model. So we'd love for you to call and learn more about it. But
That's right.
We're not going to give you the exact blueprint today, but we're going to talk to you about how we do it. So some of the things David's talking about, daily operating procedures, weekly, bi-weekly, all those things may seem like foreign language to you. That's because you are not part of a Two Maids and a Mop. So just if you hear some things that are a little bit off the wall, just understand that's because it's our lingo and maybe not yours. But you're welcome to use that lingo.
Each system within these procedures is equally important, and one cannot function without the other. Daily operating procedures are compromised for us of 4 different phases, which Ron has already said. Our morning operating duties, midday operating duties, crew arrival operating duties, and office closing operating duties.
All right.
And those are split up into 4 different sections throughout that day.
So he did that really quick. Okay.
Right, it's easy.
So he just talked about an 8-hour day with 4 quick bullet points.
That's right.
So let's kind of back up to that morning operating duty. What does that mean? And we're not going to give you the how-to unless you buy a franchise. but we can
That's
talk
right.
about some of the bullet points inside of a morning operating duty. And just to give you some highlights, one of the big things you want to do early in the morning is actually have a meeting with not only just individuals within your company, but the group. You need to create a culture for your business, and that starts with that morning meeting.
That's right.
Now, there's more to it than just a morning meeting, obviously, but again, we're not giving you the exact blueprint today. But the big bullet point to take away from what do I do in the morning, make sure you get the day started off in the right way by talking directly with your individual employees and also as a group, so that when they go out there in the field, they're ready, they're inspired, and they're following your directions. So morning operating phase number 1. Phase number 2, midday operating duties. What do we do during the middle part of the day? Now, in our case, the middle part of the day is not noon. It's more like 10 to 2-ish in the afternoon. Now, there's all sorts of things we accomplish during this midday, because if you've lived anything in terms of a cleaning business owner's life, one thing you've probably understood that the middle part of the day is a somewhat relaxing, peaceful time, because everybody's out of the office and it's either just you or maybe you.
You don't get on Facebook and just sleep?
Now, you can do all sorts of things. You can play golf, you can go to the beach, you can do so many fun things, but the better thing to do is to actually work.
Right.
So this is when your administrative duties need to be accomplished. So you need to do everything from get ready for the next day, clean up yesterday's issues if there are any, if there are payroll responsibilities that you need to deal with, you need to do that. So during the middle part of your day, we call it the midday operating phase, then you need to deal with that the administrative side of the business. Now, the third phase is crew arrival. Now, that may not sound like a whole lot, especially if you're a really small mom and pop and you only have one crew, or if you're just cleaning yourself. But if you have multiple crews, there's going to be some responsibilities once they arrive. David and I have both been inside of an office whenever a crew arrives, and I can tell you the first thing they want to do is talk about their day.
That's
now,
right.
If you're the manager or the owner of that particular cleaning business, more than likely you've had your own day. You've had some stress, you've had some difficulties that you've had to deal with, and unfortunately, you don't really have that outlet like they do. But the point is, you're the boss, you're the leader, so it is very important for you to take time out of your day to talk to that particular crew and see how everything went. If there were problems, if there were good things, discuss that, because they deserve your time. As a leader, you need to give them your time. So again, there's more things to that third phase than just talking to the crew as they come back. But one of the big things to take away from the crew arrival phase of our day is the fact that you just need to talk to them and listen to them. Now, the fourth phase, this is probably going to sound somewhat crazy, because when we tell you what the fourth phase is, it's going to be like, well, that's pretty easy. We call it the office closing phase. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean just closing the door, locking it, and going home? No, that's part of it.
That's all they have to do. Just click the lock and you're done.
That's right.
You're closed.
No, you've got to prepare. Well, actually, but beyond preparing, you've got to look back on that particular day and close up any loose ends.
Sure.
You've also, most importantly, got to prepare for the next day. And there's all sorts of things you need to do to prepare for the next day. And your business may be a little bit different than our business, so I'm not going to go into the actual details of what preparing for the next day means. But the point is, you don't want to walk into that office the next morning having to really climb from a hole. You want to be ready for that next morning so that you can start all of these four phases over again. Remember, the first phase is the morning phase where you have this meeting. You can't, for the first 20, 30 minutes of your day, wrestle issues from the previous day. All those issues need to be completed. So let's kind of just review those four phases again, because we kind of went through them real quickly so that you guys at home will know them when you start your own cleaning business.
Yeah, there's morning operating duties, there's midday operating duties, there's crew arrival, and office closing phases or operating duties. And each of those has its own individual things that need to be done during those times.
So that's a day. Now, I always like to kind of go back to our early days, because it's so much fun for me to talk about myself. But most importantly, it's fun for you, I think, because you're probably, if you're like most cleaning businesses out there, you're at the phase that I was at early on 11 years ago. So I can still remember just trying to figure out how to make a day work. And I've always tell this story about begging the phone to ring, and I can remember hours on hours of just staring at it. Now, what about that description sounds a little bit weird? Now, other than the fact that I was staring at a phone. The fact that I was staring at the phone for several hours. I should have been working. I should have been doing things that was more important than begging the phone to ring. Now, at the time, the most important thing seemed to be another phone call. But I should have been working on ways to actually get that phone to ring. Now, eventually, I learned that lesson. And
Two Mates franchise, we can help them get a phone to ring.
So we're hopefully you learned a little bit about the life of a cleaning business owner, a typical day at least of the life of a cleaning business owner, and it's all over the map. Don't think that your day is going to be the same day after day after day. Now we break these 8-hour days up into 4 phases, and we try to make that day as uniform as possible for our franchise owners and our company-owned managers. However, it's still very different from one day to the next.
Right.
So just be prepared for anything. Understand that you're running a business first and foremost that happens to clean houses. Secondly, don't get too caught up in the cleaning part of what we do. Otherwise, you'll never be the fastest growing cleaning company in America, which is 2 days a month.
That's right.
So again, thanks for joining us this week. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about what it takes to run a cleaning business for one day. And we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys.